Thank you so much for joining us. We're here today talking to my friend Melissa Oliveri. Melissa is the creator, writer, host, producer of the Skylark Bell podcast. Oh, and she also composes a new song for each episode. She also wrote the gorgeous theme song for my sister podcast, Collected Sounds, and in Volsteadland, you'll hear her song, The Velvets, in between sections. But we're here today because if not for Melissa, Volsteadland would not even exist. Hey, Melissa.
Hi.
So you have an interesting story that sparked this whole thing.
I I do. I do. Shall I just jump right in?
Sure.
Okay. So several years ago now, my husband is a realtor and I work with him, and we were helping our friend sell their house. And this was a beautiful Victorian, three-story Victorian house in uptown Minneapolis. And I suppose I should backtrack and explain that throughout my life, I've had a few instances where I'll experience things that I can't really explain. And some of the time, those things kind of come back around and get confirmed. And so this was one of those moments. We were hosting an open house. And between groups of people who were looking at the house, we were just sitting in the living room, my husband and I, quietly, on our phones. And so there was no one else in the house. And suddenly, at the other end of the room, I kind of felt, or in my mind saw, a man standing at the other end of the room looking at the fireplace that was across from me. And he was dressed in, my guess was at the time, 1920s type of attire. And I just kind of let it sit for a minute. And then in my mind, I started thinking, oh, what's your name? And I got in my mind again, Jim Cam. And I thought, well, that's okay. And then all of a sudden I thought, oh, like Jim Cameron, the filmmaker. Okay, now I'm just making stuff up. So I kind of let it go, but I could hear also in my mind always, like a ragtime piano type music and clinking drinkware and laughing women. And it felt kind of like a party, but in my gut, I felt like it was more of a commercial situation, like almost like a bar, which the house was not. And so I thought that was a little odd too. But again, I have a vivid imagination, and so I chalked it up to that. And then people came in to look at the house, so that kind of dispelled everything. And when we had a few more groups, and then we were shutting down the house for the end of our open house, and my husband went and turned off the lights on the second and third floors, and I took care of the basement and then the main floor. And when I got to the dining room had some wood paneling on the bottom third maybe of the walls. And I just had this instinct to bend down and place my hands on that wood paneling and kind of feel around, almost like I thought I could maybe find a secret compartment. And while I was doing that, crouched low to the ground, I felt Jim Cam, I thought, kind of behind me say, he kind of whispered, "We're bootleggers." And he kind of whispered it, the tone was, he was proud of how good he was at what he does. It was almost like, you're not going to find anything. I know what I'm doing, and like, who do you think you are, Missy? You're not going to find anything. Not mean, but just that kind of a, really confident and
You froze up.
that happened. And
Okay.
now still I thought I'm probably imagining this. And eventually, as we were driving home, I started looking on my phone and trying to find out more about, Minneapolis, 1920s, bootleggers, prohibition. And the first was the name Kid Cann with two N's, which, if you look at it,
Mm.
written out, Jim Cam and Kid Cann with two N's are pretty darn close.
Mhm.
I could see if we were 100 years apart through time, how that miscommunication might have happened. And sure enough, as everyone listening to Volsteadland knows, he was around back in that day, and he, I'm sure, was a very confident man. And I'm sure he would have been around clinking drinkware and laughing women quite often, and parties and speakeasies and whatnot. So yeah, that was quite a shock when I found that information, mere hours after experiencing that in that house. So none
Right.
of it was scary. I didn't feel scared. I didn't feel like he was threatening in any way. And obviously long departed, but sometimes people's energy can be intimidating. I didn't
Mhm.
feel that. I'm not saying he was a nice guy. I'm just saying I didn't feel that in that house. But it was it was really interesting, and I learned a little more about him and the history of Minneapolis in that time, and I'm so glad that you're doing this podcast to expand on that.
Thanks. Yeah. And the other thing too is that our house was only a block and a half away from the Temple Israel, and he
Correct.
was Jewish.
Yep.
And there's lots of stories about there being tunnels between the temple and some of the houses around there.
Mm,
I don't know that there was one in our house,
interesting.
but it's possible. But
Yeah.
that's just one more reason he really could have been in our house at some point, back in the day.
Right. It felt likely. Yeah. Yeah. Just the geographically, and like you say, with the temple there, and the house had been, I think, like a boarding house,
Yep.
right, at some
Yep.
point, or something of that nature. And
Yep.
so it's not unheard of that there might have been some type of speakeasy in there at some
Yeah.
point too, which is what I more felt. It felt more like that than just a party or a dinner party.
Yeah.
It felt yeah, a little
More
more
like
unhinged
a
maybe.
transaction. Yeah.
Yes, it did. It felt like business.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
just my gut. There was nothing to indicate that, but
Right. I mean, maybe
that's
it
what
was a
it
Tupperware
felt
party.
like at the time. Yeah, who are we to?
Yeah, I had seen in that same dining room, right after we moved in, I saw a full body apparition. I couldn't really make out what they were wearing or anything. It kind of looked like long sleeved, long pants, kind of flowy pants, like a tunic and long pants.
Hmm.
And it was only for a second, and they were posing in a certain way. And I had mentioned it to one of my neighbors, and she said, "Oh, I bet that was one of the guys that worked the the field back when it was a rooming house." So,
Oh wow.
I saw a lot of things in that house too. So there was some activity in that house. It doesn't surprise me at all
Yeah.
that you saw something like that. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It is cool.
I know. I love it. Now I wish we were still there.
I know. I know. It was a phenomenal house. There were a lot of cool. Yeah. Yeah. I
It
bet
was.
someday, like if somebody renovates it in some way, they're gonna find some compartment in the dining room, I think.
Yeah.
But they'll probably find, you know, I'm sure there are little hidey holes in places that we don't know about yet.
I'm sure. Well, there was
Yeah.
actually, the stairs going up to the 3rd floor, they're
Hmm.
really, really steep, and, like, 3
Yeah.
stairs up, you could lift up the top of the what do you call this part of the stair? The part you walk on? You could lift that up,
The
and you
the
could store stuff
yeah.
underneath. So, maybe they were
Oh,
storing stuff
see?
in there. There was nothing in there when we moved in,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Oh, would have been fun to find a bunch of money or something.
I know. I kept thinking, where there's so many nooks and
Yeah.
crannies in this house. There's all these paintings
Oh,
on the
yeah.
wall and stuff. I kept thinking, all we have to do is like rip open the back and there's going to be money inside. But no,
Oh, yeah. No no luck.
not yet. We still have some of the
Somebody
pictures.
cleaned it out before you.
Yeah. Well, the realtor
Yeah,
that
oh,
we
cool.
bought the house from, she took a whole bunch of the paintings and stuff. But she wasn't supposed to. It was supposed to be included.
Oh,
And when we came in for the
oh,
walk through the day at
yeah.
the closing, we were like, huh, there's a lot of stuff gone. And the owner was like, "Oh, I'll tell her to put it all
Ah,
back if you want," but we didn't fight it, so we just let her have it. No big deal.
yeah.
I was more excited
Oh,
about the house than anything else.
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, maybe she's being haunted now.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe there's haunting in the painting that she stole.
Yeah.
Yeah, the owner
The
said
eyes
they
will follow around the
yeah,
room.
those creepy pictures. The owners told me later that they went to her house for dinner after the closing, and they saw their artwork on her walls. And they were like,
Oh, that's bizarre.
"No, that's pretty
That's very
brazen."
strange.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's weird.
I wouldn't have the guts to
Yeah.
do that.
Huh. No, no. I mean, I would ask if I was interested,
Yeah,
but I wouldn't just take it. That's weird.
just I think she just thought we wouldn't even notice, you know.
Yeah. Huh.
Whatever. We did, for the record.
Yeah. Missy.
Um, so how are you close to the end now of the Skylark Bell being recorded and
It's getting,
book
yeah,
one,
I've
that is?
recorded now everything.
Okay.
Yes, of book one. Yep. There are 2 more books coming, but I've recorded all of the first season,
Mhm.
and it's not all mixed and sound effects and all that yet, but it's recorded. So yeah, it should be ready to go pretty soon, and then I get to kick back a little bit
Yeah.
uh, until season 2. So yeah, it's exciting. And then I mapped out season 2 on a calendar, and the second book is quite a bit longer than the first book. It's probably 20,000 words longer.
Oh,
Um, and so season 2 was going to take up the entire year, every single Friday. And that might be a little much. So I'm
yeah.
thinking I'll let people binge the beginning of season 2 with like 5 or 6 episodes
Mhm.
and then go from there. So we'll
Yeah.
see. But
That
yeah,
sounds
it's
good.
rolling. It's exciting.
That is exciting. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Good. Well,
Yeah.
oh, and also, are you also looking into making the Skylark Bell an actual book in book form that people can buy and hold and read?
I am yes. Yes, I am. I'm waiting to finish the third book,
Okay.
which is mostly done. It's
Oh,
it's kicking my butt a little bit, but it's getting close. And once that one is done, I'm going to review everything because they really work together, and I don't want to give too much away.
yeah.
But there are scenes that replicate through the 3 books, and I want to make sure that I don't have any mistakes. And so I'm waiting to have all 3 finished, and then yeah, I'm going to look into getting them published in book form, whether that's ebook or
Right.
physical book.
Right. Awesome. That's
Yeah,
exciting.
that'll be exciting too.
Yeah, I'm excited for
And
you.
audiobook.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
of course. Cool. And
thank
what's your
you.
shirt?
Thank
Ghost
you.
Stories?
And on your side, oh,
Your
what's that?
shirt?
Oh, my shirt. Yeah, oh yeah, isn't this
Oh,
funny? Look at
yeah.
this. It's what does it say? It says Ghost Stories, Who Needs to Sleep? And it's got Snoopy on it,
Oh,
reading a spooky book. Yep.
that's really cute. I love it. I think you posted that on Instagram or Facebook or
I
something.
love
And I
it.
looked at it and I went, oh, I have to share this with Melissa.
I
And then I
think
was
I
like, wait,
did.
Melissa's the one that posted it. Okay.
That is Melissa. You know me so well. I love it. No, it's a good t-shirt to wear to talk about spooky things.
For sure. For sure.
That was the story. I'm excited about your Patreon.
Yeah, I just saw that
I
you
haven't
joined. Thank you.
I joined right before hopping on this call, and then I haven't had time to look at it yet, but I'm excited to dig through a little bit. So
Well, I shared everything with public for the beginning because I didn't have any patrons. So I wanted to have
sure.
something up there for people who are
Yeah,
just
that makes
following.
sense.
And then
Yeah,
I'll start
definitely.
making some stuff that's a little more secret or, whatever. So like
Yeah.
the videos that I'm
Yeah, no,
making,
Patreon is cool.
yeah. The videos that I'm making that go along with the episodes, I'm just doing like a slideshow kind of to go along with, like I'm putting up
Okay,
some of the newspaper articles and some photos and stuff like that as, as a slideshow. And those I'm
cool.
posting and I'm sharing the link with everybody, but you can't see it if you don't have the link. So that's kind of an extra.
Got it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
very cool.
yeah. All right.
Fun.
Well, Thanks for joining me today.
Great.
And it was good to
Well,
see you
yeah,
again.
thanks for having me. It's good
Yeah.
to see you.
Yeah. We'll
Yeah.
have to get together in real space pretty
Fun.
soon.
Yes. Yes, definitely.
All right.
Now that we can.
Yeah. All
Great.
right.
Well, thank you again.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.